Huh.
sometimes Christ is actually pretty harsh on the disciples because they're more like us. They're more like fumbling along and trying to kind of get a sense, whereas he seemed to have had a kind of clarity that is difficult to
Right.
that's difficult to frame, let's say.
Did he have a basis? Did he ever reference or give any sense of the basis upon which his clarity was about?
Yeah, well, that he was God. You mean besides that?
Yeah.
Besides that he was the Son of Man, that he was all these images of the manifestation of God in the world. Like, that's probably the best places where he kind of shows the clarity. But
yeah, okay.
the fact that he encompasses, like, for example, like there's one place where people ask him, like, what's the law, like and he says, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And I mean, that's to show you how much he understood, because there's hundreds of laws in scripture, and that law is not even in the like 10 commandments. But he says he takes this little law in the, I didn't know if it's in Leviticus, or he takes this little law and he says, this is the fullness of the law. And so you can see that he's actually he's taking all the prescriptions and transforming them into modes of being, into the highest mode of being.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing. Like, he knew exactly what he was saying. It was,
I'm just trying to put myself in that position, imagining, like, so at what point did he start to, unless it was instant, unless he knew it like in the womb, like when did he know that he was who he was? Do you know? Does he?
It doesn't say in scripture, but there are many stories, like legends of Christ, that he, the idea that he was performing miracles even as a child. There's the verse, there's the place in scripture where he's in the temple at 12 years old and he's teaching all the elders. And so Mary forgets Christ in the temple. They go to visit the temple, and then they think that he's with another family, so they leave, and then they just leave Jesus there for like a whole day until the next day. And then when they come back, they find Jesus sitting there in the temple and teaching all the elders of Israel. And then she says, what do you, like, I can't believe it, we forgot you, why didn't you come with us, and she's a little bit annoyed with him, and he says, no, I'm doing the work of my Father. And so that, I think that text is there to show us that even at a very young age, he knew what he was, and he knew what his role was. Yeah. So, but there are stories in all kinds of,
just a knowingness. Hearing that,
what do you mean?
If I were to say that, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's from your Father, right? It sounds like there's just a deep knowingness.
Yeah, but there are a lot of stories like that in other cultures as well. Stories of, the child that speaks when they're born. The child that's born full grown, you get that in the Tao, for example, the idea that Lao Tzu was born full grown, and you get it. There's a lot of different traditions about children that are born full grown, and I think that all those traditions are there to talk about the capacity that there are beings that are manifesting something so fully that they do it from birth. And I think that's for sure, that's how Christians understand Christ, as being, the full incarnation of the Father, and that this was not something that developed in him, but was really, was there at the outset.